Hello world, Krista here with Books and Jams, and I have for you today my April book haul. I have a number of things to show you today, and most of them are not paid for or were super cheap, and some are even books that I have out currently from the library. So let's just jump right in and let me tell you what I got this month. First are two books that I found at a used bookstore on Cape Cod when I went out there a couple weeks ago just to go exploring, and those are 1001 Ways to Live Wild. This is by Barbara Ann Kipfer. I saw this first on Book Outlet and it drew my attention. Number one, because I think it's really pretty. It's not one that's going to take very long to read. It just kind of has what it says, 1001 ways to have adventure in life. When I go out with some friends, I often say, hey, let's go have an adventure day. And this is a little book of everyday adventures is the subtitle. And that just really makes me happy. I like the idea of just finding adventure in simple things. There's just a lot of fun little ideas in here. This is not going to be a book that I sit down and read from cover to cover, but I think it's a lot of fun and it's beautiful. And I'm really happy that I found it at this used bookstore. The other book that I found, Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson, which is a book that I was supposed to read in April. This was my BookTuber Recommends pick. Julie from A Girl in a Book recommended this to me, and I didn't get to it this month, but I'm hoping to read it at the very beginning of May. I don't like this cover though. Look, it's only a partial, which is kind of cool because it leaves this like mirror, you know, when a mirror gets foggy and you wipe it, that's what the picture is, but it's just a partial cover, which is kind of annoying. But anyways, I will be reading this soon, very soon. But I'm glad that I found it at that bookstore. Next, I have a book that I picked up from my friend Lisa's Little Free Library, and that is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I hear about this all over BookTube, and I believe this is about a girl who's arranged to be married to a certain fella that she's not really interested in marrying, so she runs away, and then someone sends an assassin after her, and also her proposed future husband comes after her as well. So these two guys come after her as she runs away, and I guess throughout the book you don't really know which guy is which one is the assassin and which one is her pledged to be husband. This is the first book in a trilogy and it just sounds interesting. I will probably read it and then put it back in her little free library. Maybe I'll continue with the series, maybe not. We shall see. These next two books were sent to me by the Fiction Guild at Zondervan HarperCollins. These two look really good to me. The first one here is Some Small Magic by Billy Coffey. This book is about a boy who kind of takes a road trip to discover things about his life and escape his past a little bit. It sounds like it's potentially has some magical realism involved with it. I really like this blurb on the front, which is done by Tosca Lee, who wrote Iscariot, which I've read and loved, and has some newer books out, which I haven't read yet. But the last sentence of her blurb says, "Don't read if you're not prepared to be broken and awestruck at once." I love being broken and awestruck when I read a book. So that sounds interesting to me. Sorry, I didn't give a very good description of that. I love the cover of this one, The Illusionists Apprentice by Christie Cambron. This one is a historical fiction about a girl who is an apprentice to Harry Houdini. So it'll have some magic, not real magic, like fantasy magic, but illusion magic involved, and a little bit of history in there as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. And that cover I just think is so pretty. Next, I have three books that I purchased from the for sale shelf that's always available at my library. I picked up another Agatha Christie book called Murder in Mesopotamia. And this one is a Hercule Poirot mystery. I don't know much else about it than that. I also picked up from the library sale shelf Ink and Bone, which I read at the very beginning of 2016, I believe. And this is about the library in Alexandria, and all books are a part of the library. People are not allowed to own their own books, and the library is almost its own character in these books. So there's a bit of mystery and rebellion, and I really enjoyed Ink and Bone. It didn't stand out as one of my favorites of the year, but I did really enjoy it. So I was excited when I found this one and the sequel, Paper and Fire, which just carries on the story. So I will be reading this soon. I may have to reread some of this or find a good summary of it because it's been it's been over a year since I've read this one before I pick up this one. But these were very pretty and they look really nice. I like how they look. And they were super cheap at my library book sale. So yay for that. And finally, I have a few things here checked out from the library that I thought I would show you. I have 2 videos of books that I read recently that I'd like to read. No, I read them. I'd like to see the movie. So I have The Martian and The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I have never seen this movie, but I've heard a lot of people actually like the movie better than the book, which I'm assuming will be me because I didn't really love the book. And I saw most of The Martian on a flight, but was having technical difficulties and wasn't able to finish it, which is good because then I read the book and loved the book, and then now I can go back and watch the entire movie of The Martian. I picked up this How to Hugga, The Nordic Secrets to a Happy Life. I'm currently reading the Little Book of Hugga, and it's more kind of statistics and brief descriptions. It's a little book, so it's not very big. I'll show you that in my wrap-up, but this is kind of cool because it has recipes and there's a lot more text in this one than in the other one, but also a lot of pictures throughout of food and people and the Hugga life. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I don't think I'm going to read it cover to cover, but I will probably, until it's due back at the library, just leave it sitting around and pick it up every once in a while and give it a look. I've heard of this author, Susanna Kearsley from Bree at Bree Hill, and she recently talked about this book, The Rose Garden. I was intrigued and added it to my holds list at the library right away, and it came in. So I now have this book. This, I believe, is historical fiction set in England. I think there's an element of time travel and historical romance involved with Susanna Kearsley's writing. But as Bree described it, it sounded like something that I would absolutely love. So I'm looking forward to adding that to my May TBR. This next one is one that I've heard of all over BookTube, and I don't typically connect well with memoirs, but for some reason this is one that I feel like is important to read, and that is In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. And she is a young woman who escapes from North Korea. I don't know anything about North Korea. I don't think many people do because it's such an isolated country. So I'm really interested to read her story. I think it's going to be heartbreaking. From what I've heard from other people who have read this book already, it's going to break my heart and just I'm going to be amazed at her strength and determination. And I'm going to learn a bit about North Korea in the process. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It doesn't seem very long. I'm hoping that I can get caught up in her telling her story. I believe she wrote this with Marianne Vollers. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I have heard her speak. I found a YouTube video or a clip of her speaking at something. I don't even know what it was, but that made me even more intrigued to pick up her book. So those are the books that I've hauled recently. I would love to hear if you have read any of them or if you're interested in reading any of them, and just love to chat with you down in the comments. I will be talking with you soon. Bye!